All right, a new version of the food pyramid is changing how we think about what we eat and our day-to-day diet.
Yeah, Lincoln is in the kitchen with nutritionist Heather Doney.
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 Yep.
I want to make sure I got that right. We've had Heather on before. I want to make sure. Anyway, she's going to break down what's different. So Lincoln is at the top of the pyramid, donuts now.
The top of the pyramid is not donuts anymore, Ron. I'm sorry. Well, I shouldn't say anymore. It never was, and it still not is. So, of course, Ron Bird wants to eat as many donuts as he can. All right, the approach is less about strict food groups and more about the quality of what's on your plate. Okay, let's talk about the differences here between the old food pyramid and the new one. What do people need to know?
Yeah, so the old one, you know, we had that base of all the carbs, and they were telling us to do 6 to 11 servings of grains and cereals and all of those things, and the proteins and the fats were more at the top, and telling us to do less of those. Well, we've flipped that now with the shape going this way, so those are now at the top, at the biggest part, with having a lot more proteins, fats, dairy, fruits and vegetables, and those grains and those processed foods are a lot less now at the bottom.
So what does that mean for the new priorities then? What are the new priorities?
Yeah, the new priorities are definitely protein and those healthy fats. We're not demonizing fat anymore. So get that out of your head. We were told in the 90s it was so bad for us. They took all the fat out of our foods. They made us fear fat. And then they were adding everything with sugar. So now we're addicted to sugar.
They put sugar in everything.
Yes, to make us taste better. So it just backfired on our whole society, and that's why we have this big epidemic of obesity and diabetes now, is because everybody was focusing on these 6 to 11, you know, we're having all of these Honey Nut Cheerios that, you know, they're promoting that it's so good for you with this, all these, you know, grains and everything, but really it's full of all these other things that.
You brought a wide array of different things here. What is this supposed to illustrate for us, basically?
Yeah, this is illustrating mostly whole foods. So that is also another priority with this, is we're wanting to focus on more whole foods, less of the packaged foods. We want to shop the perimeter of the grocery stores because that's where you're going to find most of your whole foods, which, you know, sometimes that's hard to do because we want to walk down all those aisles and get all the quick, easy things. But all of these things here is really, you know, that's what all our ancestors ate, you know, and so that's really the priority, is the whole foods.
Isn't it crazy how much space actually takes up that center part of the supermarket?
Yes.
And we're telling people, and I've heard this from many other people too, shop that perimeter. That's where you're going to find the good stuff for your body.
Yes, exactly. And it's within balance, right? So we're still adding those treats and those things, but we want to make sure that our main goal is the whole foods and quality over quantity.
This new food pyramid, is there anything about it that what can you tell us in terms of what do you dislike? Is there anything you dislike about it? What do you also like about it? What do you think of this whole new pyramid?
I love that it is focused on whole foods and more of the protein and the fats. The thing that I don't really dislike anything. I just think that some people might get confused that carbs are completely bad and to eliminate carbs completely, and I don't agree.
That's not what you're saying.
No, not at all. We still need carbs. In fact, these are carbs. These fruits and vegetables are carbs. So it's just more a balance of, you know, and you've got your sweet potatoes and your quinoa, like focusing on those as your carbs and staying away from those processed breads and donuts and cereals and all of those things, and just do those in like more balanced.
We've turned to you for a lot of advice. Where has your head been before we had this new pyramid? Was it already here and you were happy to see it come out?
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's everybody's health journey is that, just a journey. You're not just going to jump into something right away. So for me, it's been years of just adding little habits in, and so I was basically doing this mostly building my plate around protein. So having, instead of the carbohydrate being the main focus of a meal, it's the protein. So just making sure you have a protein with any meal, even your snacks, you know, making sure that just always be thinking of where's my protein, and then I can add everything else with it, because the protein will actually help it will keep you from spiking those high glucose spikes from carbohydrates and sugars. So
we've seen so many products start to add protein. I mean, obviously natural sources like chicken, that's great, but what do you think of those products out there that are adding protein? I just had protein, I guess, packed pasta like last week or something like that. It tasted good. I thought it was fine, but what do you think about those products adding protein?
I like it. I do like that. I just want to be careful with what else is being added into that. So you want to watch those food labels, watch for the added sugars. What I tell my clients, if you're just starting on your health journey, just the first two things I tell people to just start with, because it's very overwhelming, is focus on protein and watch the added sugars. if you can just watch those two things and not be so consumed with the calorie count and that, then you'll set yourself up for a lot more success.
Why does that make a difference, focusing on that and not the calorie count? Because it's just better food for you?
Yes, yeah. Typically, your proteins are going to be better foods for you, and the calories. Yes, it is important. You don't want to overly eat calories, but if they're the right calories, it's fine. So
there's a difference between eating too much chicken and eating too many potato chips.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. They can have the same calorie count, but got to look at the source of where the food's coming from. So
you also mentioned nutrient-dense foods in our break before we started this. What does that mean exactly, so people can understand that?
Yeah. So it's going to be your whole foods, the foods that actually have nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, that actually will help the body instead of just filling your tummy. So
I see chicken and I see fish here. Are you a big believer in fish too? Do you like
Yes.
that, or like what do you like? What are your best sources of protein when it comes to meat?
these two, and also beef. Like let's not demonize red
You're not
meat.
demonizing anything,
No,
really.
no, and that's one of my biggest things that I teach people is like, let's stop demonizing certain things, because let's face it, as long as we're finding the right things for the body, it's okay to have those little things here and there that are, are treats and things like that. So I feel like the beef, chicken, and salmon are going to be your best whole proteins coming from animal sources. So I think that red meat gets demonized a lot, but you've got to remember that the saturated fat that we talk about a lot is actually not as bad as they've told us.
As they've told us. They even got beef sticks out here. Yeah,
yes,
so definitely
exactly.
for the...
and these are great for snacks, just getting some dairy. These have a lot of source of proteins, and these little things that you can have for snacks to get those, even getting protein in with your snacks. So just always thinking of where's my protein, and then I can add the other things after.
We all have so many things being thrown at us. Social media, this is how many calories you need in a day. This is how many grams of protein you need in a day. Obviously, you want to talk to a doctor, I guess, maybe a nutritionist, but what's your best advice for people as we've been talking about the new food pyramid?
I think going back to just starting off with a couple little things is figure out what your health goals are, and then I always, like I said, start with the protein and watch for those added sugars, and that will set you up for success.
So no donuts, Ron Bird. Maybe
can
you can
have
have
donuts,
a donut.
Ron.
We're not demonizing anything,
not
as Heather
maybe
said.
every day.
Yes, exactly. Really quick, where can people find you if they want more information?
On Instagram, I'm the Heather Doney, and it's a lifestyle page. So I share tips here and there with the health, and I teach fitness classes in Lehigh and Saratoga Springs, and I'm a health coach as well. So.
The Heather Doney. Okay, we'll send it back to you, Ron.
Okay, but if you sprinkle protein powder on a donut, that makes it much better for you, right?
You cut out. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you later about it then. Okay.